Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. Today's February 11th, 2020. We're going to do a flea market finds segment, and this is going to be actually items that I picked from a place in Springfield that I actually went to originally back in mid-December, and that series already has been online for a while. What ended up happening was I knew that was a clean out of a place that had closed down, and I happened to reach out to the guy and mention to him that I was coming back to the Springfield area on some other business, so that if he still had some things there, maybe I'd take another look, another pass through. And I'm glad I ended up doing that, because I did end up finding some stuff that I really got good deals on. A lot of the stuff he had taken and he had moved to his house about 15 miles from that location. So the first part of the pick actually took place at the business. That was the dirt cheap part of the pick. I got some really good deals there. And then we headed over to his actually, this gentleman was living with his parents in the basement. So ended up heading over there, and the money got a little bit tougher to deal over there. But I did still end up picking a few things. And I passed on some stuff that actually wasn't horrible deals, but it's just nothing I really needed and didn't leave enough meat on the bone for resale. So let's dive right in. All right, so the first item that I ended up buying off of him, or one of the first items I ended up buying off of him, was this box right here and its contents, and also the next tray that I'm going to show you, an interesting tray and its contents. And these I remembered seeing the first time I was there back in December. And I either didn't make an offer or he rejected my offer, my lowball offer on these, because I figured I would be taking a chance on them. This is, I think they're in the box that they were originally shipped to somebody in. And, you know, it caught my eye, gears. And turns out, apparently what these are these are gears for a grizzly lathe. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research to figure out what exactly model these will fit. But it looks like they've got part numbers right on them. I haven't looked through the whole box. I just basically made him an offer on this box and the other tray I'm going to get to in a moment. $10 for all of this, and I'm looking at, I think, what's going to end up being a hell of a steal if I can find a market for these gears. These look like they might be change gears. And supposedly, from what he said, they were for a grizzly. Or, if not a grizzly, I'm sure for some other Taiwanese lathe. That one's actually not marked, but it's with everything else. See, that one's marked 30 tooth, 36 tooth. So these definitely are change gears. A little one there. Oh, this is something different. 57 tooth, but different arbor, different bore on that one. That goes on a spline shaft, so I'm not sure what that goes to. That looks like it might be for something different. I'm looking at in a moment. What do we got here? Oh. Couple more unusual little gears. It looks like T80 and two T80s. All right, so we got this lot of miscellaneous unidentified gears here. 14 gears. Like I said, I got these for $10 plus another tray full of gears, which I'll show you in a moment. And this is the quote-unquote tray that I got included in that lot for $10 with all of these gears in it. I was really just buying the gears, and they were already sitting in this. I asked him if I could take that to, carry them, and he didn't care. But I realized that this is a change gear cover. It looks like an end cover or a belt cover for a lathe. I'm not sure who makes the machine this came off of. Might not even be a lathe, could be something else. But the fact that these gears were with it makes me kind of suspicious that it might be a lathe. The gears are all marked Z, and then with the number of teeth. So this is a Z52, and I checked, it's a 52 tooth gear. They're used change gears. I think this one has a T with an A superimposed over it, stamped into it. That might be an indication of who makes this. I don't know. The other thing that I can try and figure out is maybe there's an MGS in a circle embossed inside the cast cover. There's also a part number 53-05.1-6, I think. So, not sure. Maybe that would tell us something. There's also a little label on the side, but unfortunately, there's not an obvious name on it. It looks like a label that might have indicated something to do with maybe the belt change or something with this thing. This could even come off of a an old Brown and Sharp screw machine or something like that. That might have been pretty much not really worth much money and was scrapped. I don't know. That's the little label I see right there. It's funny, the little rivets that hold the label on are actually going through some of the information on here. So I don't think that's going to be much of an answer. See if I could show you that other information. Anybody recognize that? So I don't know. Figured I'd take a chance on it for 10 bucks. Yeah, so it beats me about those gears. Probably never going to figure out exactly what they go to, but I guess if I measure them and put the measurements up online on like eBay or something like that, I might find buyers for them. Next up, I got these next items for 10 bucks. These were also items I saw the first time through, but not having any idea whether or not I wanted to get involved with them. I either didn't put an offer in or put an offer in that he was low enough that he said no. This time around, he ended up taking 10 bucks for all three of these. And what these are, they're geometric die heads, I believe is what they're called. These are Jones and Lamson, Lamson, machine company of Springfield, Vermont. I believe this company is still in business. This is a Model 20S. I don't know if they're all 20S's or not, or if they're all different. Yeah, that's a 20S. Interestingly enough, but it looks different. Huh. This is also a Model 20S. But it's interesting. It's got a different look to it. And they've got little handles on them. Well, anyways, you get the idea. There's another rod in here for one of the other ones. So it looks like we got two of the three rods, one of the three little handles on the end. So the problem is you have to have the chasers that go in these things in order to use them. It's interesting. These actually have numbers in the slots, almost like, oh, I see. Okay. So this is missing these parts right here. So, boy, that makes that pretty useless probably, huh? I guess that would be a parts die head. Same with that one. So this is the only one of the three I think that's usable. Oh, maybe these actually are what do the cutting? Now that I look at it, because these actually say left hand 20, 9/16. Oh, so these are the actual. Oh, those are funky. Those are the actual chasers, I guess, on these. Huh. Like, I have a whole bunch of chasers for die heads, but they're for a different brand, so they're a completely different design. So this is rather unnerving. I'm glad I only paid 10 bucks for these, because there were no thread chasers there to be found. So I don't know where he had gotten these out of. I don't think he ever used them. He just acquired them somewhere. Look at that. I actually get all three of them to fit in there. At least I got some shop rags out of the deal. I got this chuck for 10 bucks. So it's got no backing plate on it. It's actually in pretty good shape, but it's an unusual sucker. This is marked Herbert BSA Limited, makers, Coventry, England. And what's interesting about this chuck is it's a 3-jaw, but it's not a scroll chuck. It's a 3-jaw independent, apparently. All right. And then it's got reversible jaws, which is kind of nice. So I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with this. I could make a backing plate for it, I guess, and use it on one of my lathes. So I think for the time being, I'm going to hold on to that, because it's actually, it looks like a well-made chuck. I've never heard of that company, but that doesn't mean anything. Unfortunately, he didn't have a chuck key. Now, interestingly enough, according to Wikipedia, Alfred Herbert Limited was one of the world's largest machine tool manufacturing businesses. It was at one time the largest British machine tool builder. So there you go. It went belly up in 1983, according to this. Founded in 1888, so it had a hell of a good run. And I did see another listing here that showed on YouTube somebody saying, remember the Herbert BSA capstan lathe. So that must be what this chuck went on. Ah, BSA stands for Birmingham Small Arms, originally a small arms manufacturer. Interesting. So this is actually in great condition, and then we saw this chuck key laying there and tried it and realized it was too small for this chuck. So then he said, well, you know, if you want, you can. I asked him if he doesn't care, I'll take the chuck key anyways. I might have another chuck that this might fit. It's a good small key. And then he did find this. This might actually, yeah, this is something I think he made that does fit this. Okay, that's weird. This is a scroll chuck. Why did he think this wasn't? I think the thing that he found unusual, I remember what it was. What he found unusual was like right there, this stops. It doesn't go any further. So if you want to close this down any further, you've got to actually unscrew the jaws and move them on these teeth in. So it's almost like you got to do like a coarse adjustment with positioning the jaws, and then you've got like a certain amount of range, small amount of range here with the actual scroll. So kind of an unusual little chuck, but I still think well worth the $10. You got the contents of this next box for $5, and what's in here are just some lathe dogs. I didn't even go through the whole box. I just kind of took a quick look and could see that basically there's lathe dogs in here, but there's some big suckers, and they're in good shape. Forged in USA. This is a J.H. Williams and Company Vulcan number 10. Oh, that's an early one. Can't quite make out what the name is on that one. Dead center. And an adapter sleeve. It's a half center. This is so that when you have a piece on there, you can actually end up coming in with the cutter and face the end, because the cutter can actually get in here. Gives you a little more clearance. Oh, this is interesting. This says Red L Tools as the company, but then it says B&S number 9. So I think this is that's saying that this is a Brown and Sharp number 9 taper. And this outer sleeve says Cincinnati Milling Machine Company of Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't think this was from a lathe after all. This one's completely unmarked. Another dead center, completely unmarked except for a Y on the end. Another lathe dog. And another one. Oh, that one was modified. Huh. Oh, there's a small one. So those two were heavily modified. Boy, look at how prehistoric this casting looks. Yeah, what do you want for $5? So this next pile of stuff here I got for $15. This stuff and a scale, which I'll show in a moment. A couple of these pieces of metal might have been thrown in with a couple other things. You know, I kept finding, walking around the shop, I'd find a hunk of steel that I thought maybe I could use for a project or something like that, and I'd like add a couple of pieces into one of those, you know, lots. So anyways, what we got here is a little indicator post clamp. This one, interestingly enough, says Miller SP 5425-B. So not sure exactly what the deal is with that. I don't think it has anything to do with the welding company, but I just figured it was a good little indicator post. What's kind of neat about this clamp that I don't think some of my other ones have is it's got mounting holes on the top, both sides, and the front. So you can unscrew this post and reposition it depending on what your need is. I thought that was kind of neat. And again, it was $15 for all this, and the scale, I figured if the scale worked, which he claimed it did, and I did plug it in and test it, it does seem to work. I figured the scale was worth the $15 to me. There was a shelf that had all of the welding rod, a lot of it really old. I probably could have gotten a whole bunch of that really cheap too, but I wouldn't have wanted the rods, but the plastic holders maybe. But I've got plastic holders now, you know, like the kind of like they look like a thermos with the cap that screws on. But I did spot this brazing flux. There's still quite a bit left in there. That was just going to probably end up getting thrown out. And this this pack of copper-coated gas rod mild steel gas welding rods, 3/32 by 18-inch. So I'm going to throw that in. And then this steel, which, you know, there's some decent sized hunks here for making little projects. You know, this is over 3 inches in diameter. Ooh. And it's about 6 inches long. Got a disc of steel here, 7 inches. Got some rectangular pieces. That's 7 inches there. This is a like 2.5 by 2.5 by, you know, almost 5. Another big piece of round stock there. And, you know, I don't know, hot rolled, cold rolled, hot rolled, who knows. When I get to the point where I want to use it, I'll try machining it and see how it looks. And a piece of hex. You know, good sized piece. It's a foot long piece of 1.5 inch hex. And then there was this scale. It's called the Freight Master Electronic Scale 150 Sunbeam. Capacity is up to 150 pounds. So it's got this remotely locatable head unit. Judging from the metal clip on the back here, I'm thinking that originally there was some sort of a piece that stuck up from here and then this head mounted on this like this, something along those lines. But it seems to work perfectly fine. Again, I don't know how expensive these are new. I do know I was planning on buying one of these because my current postal scale I have it's only about this big in diameter, and the main problem with it is it's got a 10-pound limit. So you put anything on there over 10 pounds and it just gives you an E for error. So now I'll be able to use this to measure some of the larger packages when I want to ship them. I'm going to have to I'll find something under 10 pounds, weigh it on my other scale, and then compare it to this just to make sure that this is registering correctly. But I have no reason to believe why it wouldn't. Alright, there's plenty of these for sale and have sold on eBay to indicate values, and they generally hover around 30 bucks. I've seen them as high as 70 for a used one, but that's probably an anomaly. Generally they're in the $30, $35 range for a good used one. So, did alright on that. Here's the largest piece of steel that I bought. I bought this by itself for 5 bucks. This is 17 3/4 inches or so long, just a hair over 2 3/4 inches in diameter. So it's got some heft to it. Appears to have clearly been saw cut with a bandsaw. So should be free machining steel.